the Amy Edwards Show. We're going to make this life so good because some of our best days haven't even happened yet. So let's get to it.
I would say it was learned. It's not always overt. An example I would give is like when I was raised, the women in my family, it's a joke, but it's the truth. I come from a long line of stubborn women.
Love it.
And very hard-headed, hardworking.
We love stubborn women.
But that can come with its own
Yeah.
issues. And so when I went out into the world, what I believed a woman to be and what our role in the family is, and all of those things that I saw my grandmother and my great-grandmother and my mother do, and even my cousins and my aunts. I have a very big and very close-knit family. I have all of their behaviors that I have been watching and learning from day after day.
Just without even realizing.
Year after year.
Yeah.
And so when we say learned, it's not always so direct. We think like, oh, somebody's like, Amy, I can't believe. Sometimes we get that in abusive homes in particular. We definitely get that. But in most homes and in most cases, it's less of that and it's more of I watched it. I learned through observation. And so for me, I took this like, what's the role of a woman? What does it mean to be a woman? In my family, that meant caretaker, putting other people first, which I thought was such a good thing. And then later, it really bit me in the ass in my relationships.
A lot of people resonate with all that.
Yeah.
And yes, me too.
And so that's the learning piece. But then when you said, like, I'm just doing it, like, kind of on autopilot or...
Yeah.
We learn it without realizing, and then we just fall in line in the autopilot. And us doing this work is essentially kind of shifting out of autopilot and taking more ownership over our behaviors. So you're like, wait a minute. I've been like letting my Tesla drive me around. I need to put my hands on the wheel and take back control of where I'm going.
Hello, and welcome to the Amy Edwards Show. I know I'm in a different environment today. I'm very, very excited. We are interviewing a mental health professional that has an absolutely gorgeous new book who I have only recently become friends with. And I'm just so excited to delve deeper with her today. So join me in welcoming Dr. Kati Morton, LMFT, a licensed marriage and family therapist. She is a leading mental health advocate, an educator, and an author whose content has empowered millions on topics like anxiety, trauma, relationships, control, and emotional resilience through therapy and her YouTube channel, which is blowing up. 1.5 million people agree. That's how many subscribers she has. And we are in her studio today. I'm so excited. She's the author of Are You Okay? Which I have all the books right here. Are You Okay? A Guide to Caring for Your Mental Health Traumatized, Identify, Understand, and Cope with PTSD. And look at this cute cover. Oh my God. This feels so good, Kati. I love like the quality of it too. It is called Why Do I Keep Doing This? Unlearn the Habits Keeping You Stuck and Unhappy, which is a powerful guide for understanding the emotional patterns, especially control, that keep us stuck. And it was, it just has a couple of endorsements on it from Jay Shetty and Jonathan Van Ness. No big deal. I mean, Kati, and you say, ask Kati anything, which I absolutely love. So thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for allowing me to be here. But yes, thank you. Thank you for agreeing to do the show. Patterns are such a big thing for me. Letting go of control. This all speaks to me personally, and I know to a lot of people that listen to my show. So thank you. And in the spirit of ask Kati anything, I'm a recovering ruminator, and patterns still come up for me. I have my own cycle of beating myself up. And I mean, I know better. We know better. And yet we still do it. And I know that's a lot of your work. So what do you say to somebody like me when, I'm in my 50s and I'm still doing it? And I know a lot of people are still doing it. Like, why do we do it when we know better?
Knowing is so different than doing.
Yes.
I mean, imagine just watching a video about how to unclog a drain. That's very different from me being like, okay, it makes sense. Yep, you do that. Very different to actually get into, under your sink and do it. And it's the same with our brain and our life, that understanding kind of the why or what's behind it is only a piece of the puzzle, because I find the real hang up, or the thing that keeps us stuck, is the fact that our nervous system, so kind of just like how we're wired, thinks of acting differently as a scary thing. It makes us anxious. We worry that if we don't think about it enough, or if I don't think it through, something bad could happen.
Yeah.
And so that threat to our system, that threat to our safety feels bigger, feels scarier than, just the change itself. It's like it holds us frozen where we don't want to be.
I know. And it's just so frustrating. It reminded me when I was kind of studying the book and what you do. Did you pay attention much to Matthew Perry when he had his book? He played Chandler on Friends, and, he died recently. And when I listened to his book, he had been through every rehab and everything. And he even said, I know everything to do. And he had even done it too.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have too. And a lot of people will do stuff, and yet we still fall into these old patterns. And does it just take doing it over and over?
I think when it comes, addiction's its own thing. We can kind of talk about Matthew Perry.
True. His was about addiction. That's true.
But it's similar. It's similar but different, right? Like it can feel scary to act differently. But when it comes to addiction in particular, we're talking about your body actually being addicted to a substance. So it will crave it. And there is detox and all of that stuff that can come along with it, which can be its own hurdle. However, when it comes to addiction and when it comes to our behaviors, in many ways, they keep us safe, they keep us soothed, or at the very least, they're a way to numb out.
Yeah.
And so to tap back in means that we are going to have a lot of ways to regulate that don't include those things. So for you, it would be, I don't have to ruminate or think this through every which way to feel okay. And for someone like Matthew Perry or someone struggling with addiction, they'd have to say, I don't have to use this substance for me to be soothed. I can do it on my own. And the shitty part of this, there's a lot that's hard and difficult. But the real shitty thing is that through research, and there might be newer, this is I think probably from 2016, 2017, they find that it takes about 5 healthy habits or healthy coping skills to negate the one unhealthy one. And it still doesn't feel as good. I know. It's because it's almost like, especially if it's addiction, right?
Right.
That hit is not going to be the same as if I talk to a friend and I journal and I go for a walk. You're like, well, I don't want to do that. It doesn't feel as good.
No.
And if you like to ruminate and that's the one way you feel okay, if you don't do it and you do these other things to try to help yourself feel okay, your brain's still like, hey, but we haven't done this.
Yeah.
Hey, and it tries to pull you because it's a well-worn path. It feels very good. And we just continue to go back to it when we don't have other things to do instead that can actually soothe.
It's weird that you say it feels good because it's like, I think I read this in a Joe Dispenza book or something, and he talked about chemicals that are actually released in our brain even when we're doing those negative things. So it's like we think we're making ourselves feel bad, but we're feeling good. Can you elaborate on that?
Because
fascinating.
Our brain is fascinating.
Yeah.
We're fascinating people.
Yes.
But the whole reward system of our brain, we think of reward having to be a good thing that you do. Like, oh, I got a promotion, or, oh, I'm in this good relationship. Yes, that will release things like dopamine, serotonin, norepinephrine, all those woo.
Yeah.
I call them the party drug in your brain. And it makes you feel really happy. And they call it the reward center because it feels good and you go back for more. Almost like that mouse hitting the lever again, hoping for the pellet of food. So you'll keep doing that. However, our brain releases that in things that aren't good for us. You can think drugs and alcohol definitely can do that for people.
Right.
Like a dump, if you're talking ecstasy, a dump of dopamine, you're like, woo, this feels so good. So there's that piece. So then anything that's not that does not feel as good. But for us and our behaviors, our brain, when we do the thing, like when you ruminate and you're like, okay, I've done that. It feels good in your brain. Your brain actually is like, okay, now we can be relaxed. We can be happy. It might release a little serotonin, a little dopamine. You feel a little lift. And then even though afterwards you might be like, oh, but in the moment it does feel good. And that's why we can get caught in it. And there was a study I read recently even on shopping, that shopping actually does release a lot of dopamine. And I know, I'm like, oh, that. And so you feel good. However, it's so short-lived, and that's really the truth. They find that the dopamine peak happens, and then by the time it gets to your house, this item that you've purchased, it's already gone.
It's over.
Yeah, and that's why we do it again and again. And it's the same with rumination. It's the same for me, like people-pleasing behavior or perfectionism, like trying to do all this for everybody. It feels kind of soothing in the moment, and I feel a little bit better. but it's very short-lived.
It is. Oh my gosh. Shopping. Shit.
I know.
I took a year off shopping once.
Wow.
I know.
I
did.
do months. I've never done a year.
Somebody was just telling me that there's a thing called, it's not dry January, but it's like no spend January.
Yes.
Yes. I didn't even know about that. But anyway, I did it for a year, but it did really, I do think I had like some dopamine resets or something. It made me rethink what I really need. It was good for me. I love shopping. So
me too. Can't help it. I love a thrift store too. I'm like a sucker for like eBay and like
then you're even like thinking you're doing good at the same time.
Mm-hmm. And it's such a good deal.
Right. Plus it's a good deal. You're just piling on those dopamine hits or something like that. Yeah. No, that's really fascinating. And it's just like pattern wise, it's just really good to start noticing, right? Is that one of the keys? Like just starting to pay attention. I know that's like not the doing part, right? It's more the information part.
But that's the most important part. You are right that is the first step. And it's a huge first step is just what I call like internal research is like becoming aware. We got to be curious, not judgmental. So this isn't a time to be like, Katie, you're such an idiot. Ugh. That's not what this is about. It's more like interesting. Like my neighbor and I always joke when we were doing our own, like we did Artist's Way, the workbook.
Yeah.
The Artist's Way. We loved it. We did it together.
Cool.
And so to this day, when something comes up and she's like, I had an intense reaction. It was fascinating. And I'm like, interesting.
I love that.
And so our joke now, when something happens and we react in a funny way, I go, fascinating. And she's like, interesting, but that's what we need to think when we start doing this part. Isn't shame on you, Amy, I can't believe you do that. That doesn't get you anywhere. It's more like, interesting. Where do we think that came from? And why have I been doing this all the time, right? In my book, the first chapter is actually called like the blueprint. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of the why for most of us about your upbringing and how this isn't to like blame our parents and be like, oh, they did such a shitty job. This is more to understand where we're coming from and maybe where the root of this behavior comes from.
Yeah.
Because when we're born, we have no sense of self. We have no values, no right and wrong. Those are things that we develop. Even empathy, I learned, is something we develop. And so if our parents didn't demonstrate healthy communication, let's say, or what love really looks like, or here's how you have conflict and you repair. All of those things are important as we draw our blueprint about like, what's a relationship look like? What does love feel like? Mm-hmm. What does it mean to get in an argument with somebody? How do I make that better? Mm-hmm. How do I regulate? What are ways I can regulate? We're drawing this blueprint of like, how do we navigate life? And then we take that with us unless we challenge it. Mm-hmm. And so this curiosity piece is more about like, I imagine like us sitting over a table with the big blueprint out and we're zooming in and we're looking at each piece so we can understand. And then we're like, interesting. Yeah. What else could I do that maybe would be different here?
Yeah, for sure. It just makes me reflect on my own path a little bit. And my parents had a long, good marriage. They reflected a lot to me. But after my second divorce, I had to really take stock of myself. And I was like, I had to get curious about it in a whole different way. And I think relationships are just such a good spot to push us into questioning that, because I was really like, okay, there's a common denominator here and it's me. Like, you can blame other people, but I knew that I had to look at my own patterns. And I thought, why am I choosing people? What am I doing? And there was something in me that wanted to feel like better about myself. And that was why I had chosen certain partners. And I found that super fascinating, but at the same time, I think I was mad at myself for doing that. And I know you talk about some self-compassion. Once we recognize those things, like, and sure, maybe you just go like, oh, I was doing what I was taught from my parents or whatever, or modeled. How do you keep from being mad at yourself? Like, I understand the curious part. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's it. Maybe you just shift into more curiosity or more fascination.
I mean, you can.
Yeah.
It didn't work for me. Everybody's different.
It didn't. What worked for you?
I think first, I also want to say kudos to you for being like the one common denominator is me. A lot of people have a hard time doing that.
It wasn't easy.
No, but you did it. And not everybody can do it.
No.
And I find that those of us that can reflect and really ask ourselves like, hey, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I could list a million reasons about them.
oh, of course, we always
But
can.
I really did. I was so
Yeah.
pissed to get a second divorce. And I was like, okay, we really got to take stock here.
Yeah. What am I doing and how can I fix this? Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So just want to give you credit where credit is
like,
due.
thank you. That was like when I saw the title and everything, that was like, I remember that feeling like so vividly.
Yes. It's like,
Yes.
oh, yeah, something's wrong. Right.
Yeah.
So instead of kind of shitting on ourselves, or what I call shoulding on yourself, like
Yeah,
I
I
should have
love
done
that.
this, or like why I keep doing this, that kind of, it's really just a piece of negative self-talk. And so the way that we kind of break ourselves out of that, we often are told online or in media to be like, well, think more positively and like say something nice about yourself. Like you did a good job, or challenge that with a positive thought. But our brain listens to that positive thought and is like, I don't believe it.
Right.
That's bullshit. I've been hearing this for years. That's what's true. Right. And so what we have to do is we have to use what I call bridge statements. And they're essentially like building a bridge between this, like, I feel bad about myself and I feel negative and like, why do I keep doing this? And like judgment. What's one step less nasty? So let's say my negative thought is, Katie, you're so stupid. A bridge statement would be, I'm open to the possibility that I might not be as stupid as I think.
Love that.
And it's funny because it doesn't sound positive, but it feels different internally. It already feels lighter. And then it opens me up to the possibility of different thoughts, of change, of something better. And it's tedious and it can be annoying, but I swear to God, that's what actually shifted it for me, is instead of trying to just think more positively, I would just challenge those thoughts by being like, could I be open to maybe I don't have all the information, or maybe I could get better, or maybe it's not as bad as I think it is.
Yeah. Maybe I'm not the biggest idiot in the entire world.
Yes.
I mean, maybe
I'm
not.
one of them, but I'm not the biggest.
That's right. Oh my gosh. Yes. You know what? I love that shift because I think that affirmations have been a big part of it for me, but I have to make it something that I can work with. And that's almost like the bridge affirmation, like to get you there, like to, I am smart and capable,
Yes.
to
Gosh dang it,
lead you
people
there.
like me, right?
That's right. You know what? That's me. That's me. Very much so. So I found it interesting too that you talk about unlearning habits. I think that I noticed that it's not break the habits. It's unlearn. So it sounds like more of a process rather than the break. But I had to wonder too, like, did I learn these habits or did I just default to them somehow? I'm not sure. Do you think that all these habits are learned, or did I unconsciously just sort of default to it or something? I'm not sure, because no one was telling me, no one was saying bad things about me, and no one was telling me to feel bad about myself.
It would be learned. Okay. So I would say it was learned.
It was learned. Okay.
And so there's kind of two pieces. So I would say it was learned. It's not always overt. An example I would give is like when I was raised, the women in my family, it's a joke, but it's the truth. I come from a long line of stubborn women.
Love it.
And very hard-headed, hardworking.
We love stubborn women.
But that can come with its own
yeah.
issues. And so when I went out into the world, what I believed a woman to be and what our role in the family is, and all of those things that I saw my grandmother and my great-grandmother and my mother do, and even my cousins and my aunts. I have a very big and very close-knit family. I have all of their behaviors that I have been watching and learning from day after
just
day.
Just without even realizing.
Year after year.
Yeah.
And so when we say learned, it's not always so direct. We think like, oh, somebody's like, Amy, I can't believe. Sometimes we get that in abusive homes in particular. We definitely get that. But in most homes and in most cases, it's less of that. And it's more of I watched it. I learned through observation. And so for me, I took this, like, what's the role of a woman? What does it mean to be a woman? In my family, that meant caretaker, putting other people first, which I thought was such a good thing. And then later, it really bit me in the ass in my relationships.
A lot of people resonate with all that.
Yeah.
And yes, me too.
And so that's the learning piece. But then when you said, like, I'm just doing it like kind of on autopilot, or we learn it without realizing, and then we just fall in line in the autopilot. And us doing this work is essentially kind of shifting out of autopilot and taking more ownership over our behaviors. So you're like, wait a minute. I've been like letting my Tesla drive me around. I need to put my hands on the wheel and take back control of where I'm going.
Yeah. Speaking of control, you talk about control as a habit, which I like that. I'm constantly in this process in a practice of letting go and control, codependency, people pleasing, all that kind of stuff. I think they're all a big part of my unlearning. But I like thinking of it as a habit. That is interesting. The habit of control. I don't think I always think, I think I know that I've been in that habit, and a lot of people can identify with that. But what makes you really understand it in that format?
Yeah, I think control is a habit because so in psychology, we talk about internal and external locus of control. And what that really means is that we only can control ourselves. That's internal.
Mm-hmm.
But we so often give it up to others or look out into our world for them to like tell us what to do or how to act or what's available to us, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so internal, external. The reason I bring that up is that we get in the habit of doing one or the other. Now, healthy is internal control within reason, and I can talk about that.
Yeah.
But it's like I can only control myself,
Mm-hmm.
and that is true 100% of the time. I can't control anybody else. I can try to act in a way. Maybe I can get Amy to do this thing I want if I passive aggressively act this way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't have control over you. You can still do whatever you want. You have free will, right? That's like me and my past relationships that were not so healthy. It's like I would give them silent treatment and be like, they should come to me and ask how I am. But they didn't always because I can't make them. And so, unfortunately,
Because they're not reading your mind.
Yes,
Imagine that, right?
I can't believe it. Years in therapy to figure that out,
Right.
So that's the external locus of control, because then I'm putting all of my emotional experience and my feeling in life and how I'm doing, I'm giving them all the control.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like handing it over. But it feels like I'm in control of it because I'm doing all this stuff to try. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so we get in this habit in the ways that we try to take back some semblance of control, because so much of our life is not within our control.
Ain't that
right?
the truth?
We can't control how stock prices go. We can't control what our neighbor does. We can't control traffic. We can't control weather. We can't control what our children do, what our husbands do, what our parents do. Insert anything.
Yeah.
We can't. And so when we recognize that, or we're confronted with it, we're like, I'm going to grab onto this. I'm going to do this other thing to give me more sense of control in my life. And that's where those unhealthy patterns come up. The overthinking, for me, the people pleasing, the perfectionism, and all those. They're not good things, by the way. They sound nice. They're not good.
No, they're not.
And so that's kind of the habit. That's why it's a habit, because control helps us feel soothed. It helps us feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get in the habit of using it when we feel dysregulated.
What's your personal journey been like with all that? And you talked about going to therapy after those relationships and learning this yourself. I mean, it's very interesting too, from a perspective like you are teaching others this, but you had to live it as well.
It's been hard.
Really?
And that's like the thinking versus doing, or knowing versus doing.
Exactly.
Because being a therapist, it's funny. People always think like, oh, but you went to school and like, your life, you should have it all together.
Yeah, so you're
and
in
I'm
a
like,
nice little, neat little bow or
look
something.
at my perfect life. No, it's almost like I always say, because I know better doesn't mean I do better. And it just means I have more awareness, which sometimes is more painful, because you're like, oh my God, like immediately I'm like, that's not healthy, and I'll have like a reaction. I'm like, oh. So for me, I think a lot of it was just being humble about the fact that like I don't know, and recognizing where it came from was really powerful for me, because, and not to put it all on this, because there's definitely more places it comes from, but a big piece, and I write about this in the book, is that my father worked away from home a lot, and I was like daddy's girl. Like I wanted to do everything my dad did. I even debated learning how to be a kicker in the football team, because I thought then he'd want to like come and watch the games, because I played soccer. So I was like, I don't even have to, nobody hits you. You just like run out and kick and run off.
Yeah.
And see you later, sayonara, That's how bad it was. I wanted more time with my dad.
Aww.
And he wanted to provide, because he, that was his role, and that was what he thought his purpose was. And so there was a scarcity of him. And when he'd come home from working away for like months at a time, I'd have to compete with my brother and my mom and his friends and my other family members for his time. And I thought, well, if I'm the perfect daughter, if I do all the things he likes and I do it all great, he's going to show up for me, and then he'll want to be home more, and he'll want to spend more time with me, because my little kid brain, doesn't make sense
Of course,
the fact that he has to work. So all that to say that that's where I thought perfectionism comes to play. If I do everything perfectly, I'll get more time with him. And then people pleasing. If I keep everybody happy, then, I'll get more time with my dad. He'll be happier to be around me. I can make sure that everything in my life, I didn't like conflict either. My family never fought. So, so I give that as an example to be like, that's kind of my journey, and that understanding of kind of the scarcity of time with him and how that affected me really helped me see my relationships, especially with men, and like the role that it would take in my life. Because I even share this, that like, then I went out into the world and I found men that wouldn't show up for me.
Oh, shit.
And weren't consistent. Would say one thing and do another. And spoilers, it was really triggering. And then I hated their guts. And then I'd fight and I'd get mad. Or first I'd try to do everything perfectly, and then I would fight. And then I'd be like, you don't know me. And I'd just leave. I'd just ghost. I was the queen of ghosting. I'd be like,
wow.
I'm not going to see you anymore. See you never. But like, horrible.
You think your time is scarce.
Mm-hmm.
You think you know me?
Time. You don't know me. See you never. Bye.
Wow.
It was really toxic. Wow. But it helped for me to understand where it came from. And my therapist called that puffer fishing. There's a whole chapter in there where like, she's like, you just puffer fished your last boyfriend. Like if I get too vulnerable and they don't show up for me, spine's out.
It's prickly time. Does that present still in your relationship now in ways that you'll maybe have a moment and then you're like, oh yeah, I know you. I remember you.
Yes. It's a little, she's different. She wears a different wig. She shows up in a costume, but she's the same. And because I've worked so hard, I recognize the feeling. And instead of, I guess this is the main shift. And this is like where the therapeutic work, like you're like, I guess I have gotten better. That's why it's good to sometimes reflect.
So good.
Because you don't realize how far you've come. Is that instead of spines out, reacting, like, because I can get, like any person, get very like protective of myself. Instead of doing that, I'm like, oh, interesting. I feel that. I want to run away. I feel that. And I'm like, I must be scared. What am I scared of? And so that's when I have to journal. Like, what is it I'm afraid of in this scenario? That I won't be seen, that I won't be heard, that I won't be valued? Is it that I'm not good enough? Like, what is it? That I'm going to be left? What is it? And then if I kind of know what it is, then I can figure out how I want to best address it. And that can mean anything from like, instead of running away from Sean and hoping he'll read my mind and come and be like, are you okay? Yeah. And then I'm like, I'm not okay. I can lean in and say, that hurt my feelings. Yeah. And I don't feel seen when you say things like that. But that's scary, right? It is. That vulnerability is like, ooh. So I don't do it all the time. I'm not perfect. No. But I at least recognize that emotion and what's coming up. And I'm like, oh, what am I scared of? And that allows me to understand me better versus being on autopilot, just reacting out of like this old story that like, my dad's not going to show up. They're not going to show up for me. Nobody shows up for me. I have to do everything myself. I'm hyper independent. I don't need anybody. Oh my God. That's that old story.
All of that. I can feel that deeply.
I know that story.
Yes. And within that is this taking time, taking a beat before you even make a judgment about what you're feeling or anything like that. Like you're taking time to write it down and reflect. And I find that pretty challenging too sometimes. Like just when you're in the heat of the moment, to be able to be like, I'll literally like hear a voice in my head. And it's like, you should just take a moment, and step away. Don't do anything right now. And sometimes you're just like, I don't want to.
The toddler inside your head's like, nah, I want to react.
No, now. And like breaking that is this whole other thing. Like I followed some woman that was a dating coach, I think, when I started dating again after the second divorce. It's like, I got to learn some shit. And, but one of her things was about leaning back. And I've taken that to heart. Like even in that situation with my husband or something like that, when something comes up, like being able to sit back is its own skill set. Like you did, like if you're going to journal.
Yes, it's really hard. But I swear it's funny, like not funny, haha, like ironic that as a therapist, the biggest thing they try to teach you and saying like, I try to teach my patients this is like, instead of reacting, you want to just create space for a breath, for a thought, so that you can make a decision and not have a reaction, right? So I can respond, not react. But doing it is like, again, Easy to know, hard to do.
Knowing versus doing.
And sometimes it's even a little bit after the fact. Like it's okay to not, to in the moment, do whatever, maybe you do the same thing you'd normally do, but to be able to reflect on it and then try different next time. And I think the best thing that saved me is first of all, Sean is not a fighter either. So he doesn't, like, if I'm like, I need to step away, he's like, okay. Like, it's easy to diffuse for a second.
Yeah.
He's not coming for more, because that would be really hard for me. We probably wouldn't have gotten married, or if we did, it wouldn't have lasted. And so he'll give me that space, and then I can pull away. I usually go in my office, journal, and then that's when I can like actually see it for what it is. I can then make a choice. But in the moment, it's like, I'm a dialectical behavior therapist by trade, so it's a DBT. Essentially what it is like mindfulness on top of like cognitive behavioral therapy. So not that we need to get into the nitty gritty of that, but a big piece of DBT is what's known as wise mind and emotion mind. And when I'm in a discussion, like a heated argument, you're in emotion mind.
Oh yeah.
Super reactive. You don't think really clearly. It's very protective. It's, it can be a lot of finger pointing. You always do this. If you take a beat, then you can get yourself into wise mind, where you're not so reactive. You've taken that emotional charge down, and then you can see more clearly. Yes, it's hard. I wish I had a shortcut. But a lot of times I tell people, if you see it going south, if you're like, I'm saying shit I shouldn't, I don't mean this, it's better to upset them in the moment, say, I have to walk away right now. I will come back. I have to walk away. And you just leave to save yourself.
Yeah.
Because we all know once you've said stuff, you can't take it back.
Yeah.
And people will pull that out later, especially if you have kind of some toxicity in your relationship. They'll be like, well, you said,
Yeah.
We never forget.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's best just be like, I got to go. I'll be back. Give me 5 minutes.
Oh, give me 5 minutes. Like, that's reasonable.
Yeah. And I think anybody, even if they're mad, they're like, get back here. You could still walk away.
Yeah, you can. Absolutely. And that's a great self-care thing too. I mean, because then you're going to beat yourself up about something bad you said, and I'll do that for eons.
But don't, then the overthinking takes, and you're like,
let me
just tell myself how bad I am.
I'm careful about that, because you can't take stuff back. Like,
no.
Does he ever throw your words back at you and be like, hey, we were just filming and you said
no? He's not that way, thank God.
and you gave this advice, so you need to take your own advice.
Oh no, thank God. It's funny, I think, because both of us, we actually have to work more because we're both conflict averse. So to actually argue is a bigger deal. So we have to consciously make time to communicate about upsets.
That's good.
And he's actually he's better at it than I am.
How do y'all do that? Do you set a time? I've heard of people that, like, one person I had interviewed, she said, well, we'll make a list and then we'll go over it at the end of the week. And she goes, and literally I'll look back at my list and nothing means anything. And I'm like, I don't have anything.
I love that. That's interesting. We don't do that. I love that though. Ours will be like usually later in the day. Yeah. So if there is like a disagreement or we have an issue, we also work together. So that's complicated. Then there's pieces of that. So I honestly just wait until there's a break and I know he's not working and I'm not working. Like, could be making dinner, and I'll bring it up and say, can we talk about this now? Or do you want to talk about it later? And then we'll try to talk about it.
Oh my God, y'all sound so mature.
I mean,
I'm
sometimes
so impressed.
We try, but it's not all,
Yeah.
And sometimes if I'm in emotion mind, it's not good, but I do my best to not. I've learned that's the one key learning, because I did that all through like my teens, my 20s, like lookout world, like, wrecking everything.
Yeah.
Just being very chaotic.
Yeah. I think it's just good for people to hear, that you're human too, right? I mean, was there a part of like, you've said this to yourself so many times?
All the time. Yeah. Like every day, all day, especially late at night when I run through all the embarrassing and terrible things I feel like I've done in my life.
Why do we do that? Tell me why we do that.
I could tell you the science behind it, and it does kind of make us feel a little.
What's your theory? I want your own personal.
So my personal theory is
that's what I want.
That it's our brain's way of protecting us from doing it again. I think it's like, I understand.
I better drill this shit in.
Yeah, so I don't find myself doing it again, because son of a bitch, I did it all. It's like that. I think it's that, like, self-protection.
Oh, self-protection. I don't think I've thought of it in that way.
So you have to kind of give it, you're like, okay,
that's
cool.
kind of sweet.
Yeah, good job, brain, but like not like that. Thanks. Like,
let's find another way.
Let's work together to make this a little more constructive. That's what I think. I mean, I know then the science of it is that our nervous system is wired to constantly be looking in our environment for any threat. And when we think threat, we think physical, but think of emotional threat. Things that shake your core, make you question yourself, make you wonder about your worth and your value in this world. And so that's why it pulls those things up, because our brain wants to make sense of it, and it wants to kind of like fix it or find a different outcome or tell us figure out what we could do differently. And unfortunately, when we have like an anxious brain, it like just can't get out of that, because anxiety is defined by like uncontrollable worry. So it's almost like our brain, what it does to try to help us is like on overdrive or like stuck on a loop. And the best thing you can do, honestly, I get out of bed and I shake out like a dog out of the bed, because it just gets that energy out of your nervous system, gives it an outlet, and it can feel better.
Oh, I've never tried that.
Yeah, because sometimes I can't get out of that loop, and I'm like, this is gonna be a rough night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to brainwash myself with a simple mantra.
That's and that works too. Yeah, you can do that too.
Yeah.
I'll sometimes tell myself all the things I'm looking forward to. I'm like, I can't wait until, and just like,
and then you fall asleep to that.
Yeah.
That's nice.
You can stop it sometimes too.
Those are great tactics. Do you believe in the like traditional, not traditional, it's not that old, but attachment styles?
Yes, I do believe that in them. I think, like anything, we like to put things into boxes and make them very clean. And I don't believe them to be that clean.
Right. Everything's messier.
Yes. I
Everything's messy. I want clean answers. I wish that was the case, but it's not really.
No. And I think depending on where we're at in our own journeys and how we feel, we could be acting more anxious. We could be acting more avoidant. I think, so I would argue, and this would be interesting to like study and to look into, but I would argue that most of us are actually disorganized, which means you kind of swap around, because I can be really anxious in certain relationships back in the day, especially that seemed like my dad, where it was like they were kind of around, but I could never really get a hold of them. They weren't like consistent and wouldn't show up. Super toxic for me.
What a nightmare.
But that would be really triggering. And then I'd like, I'd text. I'm like, we didn't have social media back then. So it's like I'd text or call and try to get a hold and be like super needy. But then if I felt somebody was a little too much into my business, a little too close, I'd be avoidant.
Yeah, totally.
And so I don't think it's as neat and tidy as we'd like it to sound. But I think it's important to kind of at least recognize what they are and how it shows up in our life, because then we can realize like, hey, again, I think attachment's more about like, oh, I recognize this and it's coming from this old story. And that allows, at least for me, then it allows me to see it in a different lens and be like, that's actually not what's happening here. This is like, oh, it's like that again. It's like showing up in a different wig, but it's the same thing. I'm like, I know you. Get out of here. You're making things hard.
Yeah. Well, I think it's so encouraging for people to hear too, that it's all over the place. We're all the things, all the, like some of the time, it's just going to present in different ways. Sometimes you're going to feel secure. And then sometimes things come up and then you push people away and then you're too needy. And, I've done it all. And so, I think it's just comforting.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure. What is a core belief that you see adults hold on to that really started in the first decade of life? Like what is something that tends to hang on longer than other things? Is there something that you notice more?
There's probably a top 2 or 3.
Oh, what are they?
I'm not good enough.
Biggie.
A huge one.
We're all like, yep.
Yeah. And that'd probably be the number one. If I had to, if I was forced, I'd say like, okay, I'm not good enough. But I think a close second, and I know it sounds similar, but it's different, is like, I'm not worthy of. And that's kind of less of the like, I'm just not good enough, period. And it's more like I have to earn things. I have to hustle for this. Like it's not just given to me.
Yeah.
That belief, I think, is incredibly common. And then I think those would probably be my top 2. We could really get in. I mean, there's others, like that hang around, but I think those are the ones that hang around the longest and are the easiest for us to continue to believe and the most difficult to untangle, to kind of let go of. Yeah. Because in our society, we, for whatever reason, have said like confidence means cocky and it means arrogant when it's not the same thing. And being self-assured is not a good, we talk nastily about certain characteristics, especially with the rise
women
of women too. We can, It's like not attractive
Right.
for us to be that way.
But what were you going to say, especially with the rise of
talking about narcissism?
Yeah.
Then people think, oh, then I'm a narcissist. And I'm like, no, healthy self-esteem is still healthy. Not caring about other people is narcissism.
Yeah.
They're very different.
Have you had to do some worthiness and value work with yourself as you've grown and your YouTube channel's gotten a lot bigger and a lot of people watching and stuff? Have you had any personal things come up that you've had to work on, like worthiness around? Or
Yes, I think it's constant for me. It's always been a part of my journey, I guess. I think there's a few things, especially with being online, is that my channel never was like viral. I didn't go overnight. And I was also old enough. I started the channel, I think at 25 or 26.
Wow.
So I think, I was a baby, but at least I wasn't 16. You know, some people start their social media at like a younger age. My frontal lobe was pretty much formed and I like kind of knew who I was, right? And it was just a different time and it has grown slowly. So I've had time to adapt and time to realize that it's just what I do. It's not who I am. It's not everything about me.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love my community and I'm super grateful for, it's a privilege to do what I do. But again, it's like, I just feel like I'm a messenger. Like it's not me, if that makes sense. So
it does. That makes sense.
Detached myself a little, and I think it's healthy. I also just think ego ruins everything. So to like as my family would say, because we're like country folk, don't get too big for your britches.
Yeah.
Like I'm never too important for somebody. I'm never too. I don't know. I feel like that's just not a. That's not a person I ever want to become. I don't actually think it's in my genetic makeup to be that way. So I think being online has it's been humbling and it's been challenging in the way that like, I don't really think we're supposed to get as much feedback as we do.
Yeah.
It's hard to absorb that. I try not to be honest, because they don't really know me and I have to remind myself of that. So I think a lot of my work has been more around the like me knowing me and like, kind of asking myself, like, who am I? What am I doing? And like, why is this important? And why do I feel called to do this work? And sticking with that.
Yeah. The bigger picture of purpose.
Yes. Because I do believe we all have a purpose. Like, I know not everybody's religious and I'm not even religious, but I'm spiritual. And I definitely believe that like, we aren't like, no one on this earth is an accident. So you're here for a reason. And that reason can be very different. You know, there's no judgments around it. Not everybody's supposed to be the Oprahs of the world or, you know, whoever you want to call it, the Tony Robbins. But some people are supposed to be a great mother and some people are supposed to be a great friend and some people are supposed to be that, you know, there's all of these different purposes. And I think, you know, tapping into that and living in that is the best, is like the goal for me at least.
Did you write a purpose statement? Do you have a purpose statement or what would you say your purpose really is?
It's funny because I'm doing that now kind of.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
I've been doing values work for a while, which was
Yeah.
interesting. And it's funny that we don't ever talk about that.
Yeah, I love it. I love Brene Brown's values list. And
I think it's powerful.
It's very powerful.
It's important to check in because everything that I'm doing should be aligned with my values.
Absolutely.
And it also explains the reasons those some things just didn't feel right. Because you're like, ooh, that's not good. Or like why people give me the heebie-jeebies. And I'm like, I just don't like that person. I'm like, I don't think our values align.
Exactly. It's a nice way of saying it. Absolutely.
Yes, our values are very different.
Yeah.
And so knowing that and doing that then led me into kind of like purpose. And I actually got a question at one of my book signing in Austin.
Yeah.
Where one of my community members asked if I believed that everybody had a capital P purpose. That's how she worded it. And I was like, yes, you know, and she was glad I said that because she had just found hers, she said, but it took her a while.
Yeah, it takes a while.
And also we could have different purposes at different times, right? I feel like I've been like 7,000 versions of me. So I could have 7,000 different purposes.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we like things to be neat and, oh, this is the thing I'm here to do.
Yeah.
And,
oh shit. I feel like a little like, oh, that's a good way to think of it. Okay.
Because we can be different.
You're
right. Amy
right.
today is different from Amy 5 years ago. And thank God.
Yeah. I'm all about transformation and
shed that skin. Old versions.
And new versions and stepping into something new. So why wouldn't our purpose maybe evolve?
Yes.
Let's just say. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. And that feels really good because that's like permission for people to understand their purpose in a whole different way.
Yeah. And try it on, right? It's not like a hard and fast, it's in stone. I can never, you know, like maybe I want to do this for a while. I feel like this is aligned with me, and knowing I can shift. Right. And
Yes.
I always think like thanking old versions of me for like what they went through and what they did to let me be here. Because I think for a long time, I like hated past Kati. I was like, oh,
really?
she was so crazy and so wild and like so aggressive and so frustrating and so all the things,
Wow.
I think because I was working on myself, part of that I didn't realize was that I was always thinking negatively about past self because I was like, I'm trying to not do that.
Yeah.
Can't believe she used to do that. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I was going to ask you about self-love and, how does that fit in for you, maybe personally, and as we, work through things that maybe we read about with patterns or ourselves?
yeah, I have a tough time like throughout my life with self-love, I think, because I thought I had to earn it. Like it was all predicated on me doing well at something or being good, for other people. So a lot of it has come through journaling, through me journaling about things I'm grateful for, things I'm looking forward to. And then I do mirror work, which sounds crazy, but it works.
I am a big advocate for that.
Yes, to look yourself in the eye is
What does it look like for you? When did you start doing mirror work?
Just recently.
Really?
Just in the past like 6 months.
What
probably.
made you start?
So it all started with my audience talking about it and asking questions about it. And I didn't know, I knew what it was, but I'd never looked into it. I'd never thought about it. And I've had a couple rough years just transitioning when we moved, because we've lived here now for 4 years, 5 years, and meeting new people and like not feeling like I really belong. And like, where are my weirdo girls that like don't have a regular job at, don't have kids and, just trying to find your people. And so I felt very alone, very isolated. And so it was really tough for me. And then I was like, maybe something's wrong with me, old story, right? Telling yourself something's not helpful. And then I was like, I don't want to feel like this anymore. I don't want to think like this anymore. What am I going to do about it? And so I was just looking for other things. So EFT tapping and mirror work. And I just started the EFT tapping. That's brand new. I'm going to try it for 30 days and see if I feel a benefit.
Are you doing it every day? Or?
Yes, in the morning.
In the morning.
And I do it with mirror work. So it's easy.
We do them together.
It's easy to, I thought like to almost like habit. What do they call it? Like a habit stack.
A habit stack, yeah. So are you like, even though I don't feel like doing mirror work and telling myself I love you, I love you.
You're doing enough. You're important. You've got this. It'll all get better.
Oh.
I talk about it like it's happening. That's what I try to say. Like
what?
I am good. I do good work.
Yes.
Things are happening that are good for me.
Exactly.
Like it's in motion already.
And then you say, I love you to yourself while you're looking yourself in the mirror. Do you set a timer?
No, I just do it for it's usually around 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
5
not very
minutes
long.
is great.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you. And what are you noticing?
I notice I feel calmer, which sounds like a weird symptom, but it's like I'm just not as anxious. I even had this really weird experience where, I say weird, but like weird in a good way, like cool weird, where I went to an event recently and there were people my values did not align. I knew right away they're not my people, but they were kind of not shunning me, but like clearly did not think I was at their level of whatever world they live in. And I didn't even realize it till I got home that I didn't care.
Nice.
And we were even like standing because we were doing this tour of this facility and things. And like one of them turned her back to me and I was just unaffected. And that's why I didn't think I realized till I got home, because Sean was like, oh, how was it? And I was like, oh, I met some really cool people. And these other people are just a little not my people. And that's fine. But then I realized I was like, I didn't try to like shuffle and make myself seem worthy.
Yeah.
I didn't hustle to try to get them to talk to me. I was just unaffected. And I was like, wow.
That is awesome.
What a power. What a superpower.
Truly.
I didn't even know I tapped into that power. It wasn't the goal at all. But I equate it to the mirror work and the tapping that like, I just feel calmer. I'm not so reactive. I'm not bidding for attention all the time.
It's like security. That is like a deep
like I know
security
who I am.
with yourself. Yes.
I know
who I am.
You don't have to validate that, which is wild, because that's not old Kati. That's new Kati.
That's new Kati.
Yeah.
We love old Kati.
She got you
for
here. Her service.
She got you here.
Yes. Yes. Very grateful.
And without those experiences, would you be as good of a therapist? Truly.
I don't think so.
Right.
And that's kind of, I didn't answer what my purpose is.
Oh, Right.
I will. Like I could talk.
It's okay. We're all over the place.
Sorts of, yeah. But I really think my purpose is to show people that you can get to know yourself and that it can be a wonderful place to live.
You can get to know yourself and it can be a wonderful place to live. That's so true. And you can get to a point where you're so secure in yourself.
And that's the first time. I'm 42. So like, be patient with yourself. Like it was not a.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean? Like, and probably.
Yes, I do.
And me in 5 years might need to do it all over again. You know what I mean? Like I'm a work in progress. And I think it's something I want to continue so that, because that was such just a soothing place to sit in.
Yeah.
To be like, wow.
And I mean, you say do it all over again, but I feel like saying encouragingly that it's like working out a muscle. It snaps back quicker next time.
And you don't forget, right? It has the muscle memory.
I'll forget, but I'll remember more quickly. I'll forget for less time.
Yes.
At least that's kind of the way I look at it. So, well, that's really beautiful. I'm excited about that. And, and it's cool too that you are learning new modalities and embracing new modalities and trying new things all the time too.
Always.
Right?
Yeah. I feel like, one thing that I never want to be is kind of like a stuck in the mud. Like this is the way that I do it. It's also just not my personality.
Yeah.
But I think that's another blessing of being online is that my audience is always challenging me.
That's
like,
great.
What about this? Like they're the ones that mentioned EFT tapping. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know what it was. And then the mirror work, I'm like, I know of that. And so I start reading about things because they've asked me. And so it's been a great challenge and also a good director of like, what should I look at and what should I try? And I would never want to say that, oh, I don't believe in that. Because if it helps one person, then by all means,
Right. Absolutely. I agree. What is one of the key things that people tend to skip, like a practice that people tend to turn to skip that can really make lasting change?
Ooh. I mean, I guess the thing that people skip is because it's so uncomfortable is taking this is why I actually love AA. I'm not a recovering alcoholic, but I've gone to open meetings and I always encourage, Al-Anon AA.
I'm Al-Anon all the way.
Yes.
I'm a big fan. Yeah.
Al-Anon's
it helps me a lot.
Super helpful. It's been, incredibly healing, right?
Yeah.
Is the inventory. I think people don't want to look inside and be honest about their role in their problems.
Oof.
And it's because it feels icky.
Yeah.
And it's very confronting. And we're not always ready to hit that.
Yeah.
And I think that for me, because it's easy to point fingers and it's easy to say, oh, my dad worked away from home and that's why. No, dad worked away from home. I took a story and then I've continued. Even after, all these failed relationships, I'm still doing or I was cheated on and that's why I don't trust people. No, you're choosing not to trust.
Or it's really easy to be like, he needs to do his inventory.
He needs to go.
He's got a lot going on.
Like, you need to get in therapy. They need,
Speaking of inventory, you should do it. And just like you can see it in others so easily. And then you're like, wait, but me? Fix what?
And I think we skip that part. I think a lot of times we skip to the pointing, the blaming. And I did that for a long time too. So it's not like anybody should feel shame about it. But the sooner we can acknowledge our role and acknowledge what you're doing that's causing the pain for yourself, then the sooner you can actually, like going back to the self-driving car, like the sooner you take control of the wheel versus running on autopilot. And I think so many people try to skip past that and they're like, give me tools to fix it now. Like, what do I do different? And I'm like, you can act differently and I can give you things. But until we really do that deep, I don't know, like detective work, then we'll still find ourselves pulled to those same routes, those same behaviors.
Yeah, that's been me before. I'm like, just give me a list and let me check things off.
Me too. I'm type A. I like to get things done. We talked about this at the dinner we met, where it's like we're the schedulers in the zero inbox. Yeah. I'm that person. So I'm like, just tell me what to do. A to B to C, I will do it. And I remember my therapist one time, she's like, you can't think your way out of this, Katie. And I was like, how dare you?
Ouch. Yeah.
What's the checklist?
Yeah. Come on, give me the checklist. Started. Yes. Okay, let's see. I was really curious about, once you start doing this work, the neurological shifts. And can you ever see those really when you've worked with somebody, like the neurological shift that they get? Because You're resetting neural pathways, essentially, right?
Yes. It's almost like, I don't know if works for everybody. Some people love this analogy or visualization, others don't. I like to think of our brain as like a balloon filled with sand.
Oh.
And you're like rolling marbles from one point to another. And so when we have a well-worn pathway, there's a deep rut in this sand, and that marble knows, shoop, shoop, okay, this happens, I act this way. This happens, I act this way. It runs that route.
Yeah.
However, when we try to do something different from that, we have to get that marble out of that rut, which is hard. And then we have to start a new rut. Oh, but this one's so much faster. I know this one. No, I don't want to. Right?
Yeah.
And so when people do make change and they've actually like not just changed, because it's like they've created a new pathway altogether. I can tell because they're not as reactive. And I know that seems like a swathing, but not everybody's reactive.
No, that's true.
They're not as charged in general. And I think a lot of us don't realize how emotionally charged we get about things, whether that emotional charge is sadness, depression, whether that emotional charge is agitation, irritability, whether that emotional charge is disconnection. I'm dissociating, checking out, spacing out. I don't remember how I got home. I just drove. I don't know. Whatever it is, we often think of emotional charge as one thing, but it's all emotions. And when someone has figured out a better way, it's almost like me at that party when I was just not reactive.
Yeah.
I think that is the proof. So in my office, I would see, one of my patients not get as emotional about it. They could actually just talk about the experience in a very relaxed, calm way. Mm-hmm. It's that detachment, that healthy detachment.
Yeah, not reliving it.
Yeah.
But that's so interesting about an emotional charge that it presents in those different ways. Like you don't even think about it being depression necessarily.
You always think it's anger.
Always.
Or
I think the
crying.
word charge.
It's like crying.
Crying, anger. Yeah.
Those are the ones.
But something dramatic. Yeah.
But it could even be intense excitement, which I know sounds silly too, but if we get all amped up about things, it's still an emotional charge. We're reacting to whatever's going on. But if we're able to look at something clearly and calmly,
I'm like, that's me. I get it. Too
but
excited.
there's pluses and minuses. It's just like the fact that if you could step away and you can have that detachment and you can look at it clearly, that to me means, we're in wise mind. We're not in emotion mind. And so we can actually make good decisions.
That's beautiful. Okay. If someone could adopt one habit like right now, this week, that's actually rewiring a stuck pattern, not in the talking, but in practice, what would it be? What would you recommend them? And why?
I'll give two.
Okay.
The first is journaling. And I know that's not a fun thing to say because you're like, I have to do it more than once. I have to do it all the time. But 3 days a week at most, 5 minutes is all you need to give me.
Nice.
You don't have to be able to read it back. It doesn't have to make sense. The words don't have to be spelled correctly. I just want you to write about what you're feeling, write about what you're grateful for, and then tell me what you're excited about.
Yeah.
Get you started. And then the second is start shaking your body. I know those vibration plates are very popular. I need to get one. I haven't tried it.
What's up with those? Is that what it's doing? It's shaking out
It can be really helpful. It's also, they say, lymphatic drainage. I'm not a doctor. Okay. I don't know. But I do know that our nervous system needs a release for queued up energy. And when we don't get that release, it's like anxious energy at night. It's our rumination. Yeah. It's the fidgeting. It's the worry, the icky feeling. Ooh, pop my shoulder.
Nice.
I know. Hey, it's that kind of experience that we get inside. And so if you can shake out at least once a day, I think you'll feel an incredible benefit. And at the very least, it gives your nervous system a reset. And then pulls us out of that emotion mind and allows us to, at least for a brief minute, make a better decision.
That's a good one. And I love that you talk so much about detachment too. Like that's such a big part of it with control. It's like, that's been a real practice for me. And something I talk a lot about is adopting that detachment. Like you are not all these things.
No. Mm-mm. And also we don't have to get spun into things. Like you don't have to, it's like knowing it's a choice.
Yeah.
Is really empowering to me. It's difficult. Like we're talking about it's easy. It's not easy, but it's powerful.
It is powerful. And ultimately, it is a choice, one that we can make. So if you have to leave everyone with one thought before we go, is there anything that we missed or any that you really wanted to discuss today or just one thing that you'd like to leave everyone with before we go?
Yeah, I think we talked about everything that was important and valuable.
Good.
I mean, there's so much we could get into, obviously. Sure. But I think if I left anybody with one little thought is just remember that you're someone worth knowing. So get to know yourself, you know? Don't be afraid of that relationship, because I think so much of our life is spent looking outwards for others, and we really need to get to know ourselves first.
You know, that's really profound too. If you want to be somebody worth getting to know, do you know yourself, right? It's such a paradox that we have to do it ourselves first.
Yeah.
And then you know you're worth knowing.
Yes.
You know? So cool. Well, thank you so much for taking time today.
Course.
So much value. And yes, there are a million other things we could discuss, but of course they're on your YouTube channel, which is linked in the show notes. But tell everyone how they can find you too. And we will link this in the show notes as well. But tell everyone how they can find you.
Yes. On social media, it's always Kati Morton, Katimorto. And on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. I also have a podcast, Ask Kati Anything, that comes out every Thursday. And my books are sold wherever you find your books, but go to your local bookstore and they can get it too. Yes.
Local, shop local. I'll put some sort of local link on this or to you. And it's absolutely beautiful too.
I know.
Well done.
I wish I could take credit for that, but somebody created it and I picked it. So I think it's beautiful.
You chose it. So I'm going to give you credit. So thank you so much, Kati. It's been a joy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. Please rate, review, and follow us. And we'd love to hear your feedback. Keep shining bright.